The truth is, everybody would like to own a home. You can't fault people for that. It gives you a sense of security, stability, and all the positives that you can think about. But in pursuit of that house, we have to be wise about how we approach it. So one of the reasons why people start constructing their homes after they have gotten drawings, I would assume, and then they can't complete it, is because they didn't count the cost. Now it's important to have that budget, that final cost for the house that you desire to build. You need to get a quantity surveyor, that's a QS, not to be confused with the land surveyor. Two different people, two different professionals. So you get a quantity surveyor, or you get 3 tenders from contractors, reputable contractors, and that will give you a good idea of what it will cost to build your house. Now, having had that information at hand, you can decide if you can actually build the house in one stage. So if you have all the funding, you go ahead and you can just build a house. But what if you don't have all that money to do it at once? You also need guidance from a construction engineer, a contractor who is experienced as to how you do it in phases. Because you would like to know that the amount of funds you have, you can complete something that is secured, or you can occupy if you so desire to occupy it. Or you don't end up buying all the material you need for the entire project, and then you have material left over to waste. For example, people buy a lot of cement, and cement cannot stay forever. They hard up. You buy steel and have them thrown down in the yard or in your site location because the project stopped. You can't go any further because you don't have the money to do the labor part of the work and things like that. So it's important to count the cost. The good book, the Bible, tells us that. In Luke, he used the analogy, the metaphor of building a tower, and say before you start building the tower, you should count your cost to see if you can commit to it. The sacrifice that you'd have to make to commit to that, to get it completed. So please, do the due diligence. There's also this rule that I want to introduce that's called the Pareto rule. It's called the 80-20 rule. The principle explains that 80% of the input really result in 20% of the outcome, meaning what is completed. So what tends to happen in construction is that you see somebody start building and the site shoot up, and they lay foundation, steel work, block, everything reach belt course, and then after that everything stopped because they spend up that 80% input in material, but it only really results in 20% completion, because the other aspect of the work that seemed to be trivial really is that 80% completion. This is a principle that has guided my career for a long time. The 80-20 rule. It appears that the project is far ahead when you lay the blocks and cast the columns and the beams and so forth and so on, but you're really just 20% completed in most cases. Again, I'm just sharing little tips here and there, and I'm suggesting that we use the people who have been trained to help us. Let me tell you, I've had to help clients who are stuck by the way, and it costs them more. It costs you more when you try just to do your own thing. You take on a worker here or there. This one lay the block and you call a different one to do the rendering. That's madness. Let the same man that lay the block render it. So if he makes mistakes in the laying of the block, he will have to correct it in the labor for the rendering. Because no good mason is going to come and flash out any bad work without charging you. In the end, anyway, you the client will have to pay for the cement and sand to flush out the bad work, because I found that a lot of clients want to buy material. That's another thing that I don't recommend. Give the contractor the entire work. When the contractor makes his mistake, he will have to find the material to do the work. Stop taking on buying material on your own, because you don't know what amount of material is really needed for the job. Leave that to the contractor or your QS to work it out, or somebody. Get the professionals to do the job, and stop taking on what you don't know, because you're paying for it. I'm telling you. I hope this was helpful. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this information. Thank you.